Right. All right. A very, very good evening to you, Vinod, and thank you for joining us. At 8 p.m. on a Friday late evening, right? Really appreciate you being here. Just to start on a quick and a lighter note, Vinod, why don't you introduce yourself to the community itself and what you are building and tell us about your recent venture, right? Just to give the audience a quick context to the conversation before Vinod starts speaking, he is building something in the property management space, right? And this is a major problem that he intends to solve, right? So over to you, Vinod. Please introduce yourself and yes, please.
Sure, Siddharth. Thank you for the opportunity here. This is Vinod. I lived in the US for a number of years, did my double masters and a lot of consulting gigs, Ernst& Young, Sapien Nitro, Trilogy. These are great names who have given birth to a lot of startups in India. For example, people working at InMobi, people working at Flipkart, people working at Udan, people working at Make My Trip. So I think when as working as senior leaders at some of these organizations, entrepreneurship was always on the mind. It was always on the cards for me. It was just
Right.
a matter of time, right? And when I decided to move back from the US to India, it was more of an emotional decision. I felt the time, the battle is against time, right? Battle is not, it's not a financial decision. So I decided to move back to India.
Right.
And I started to realize there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of problems means there are a lot of opportunities, right? Problems comes with opportunities, and decided to take the entrepreneurship head on. And about 3 years ago or so, we started Properties, and essentially our line is we provide a good night's sleep. We provide a
Okay.
good night's sleep to an owner
Right.
who is not living in that home, essentially. So, as an example, Rohit Sheth, living in Chicago, has an
Mhm.
apartment in Bangalore in Mantri, Espana, and
Mhm.
we are the eyes and feet on the ground. So we monetize it in the form of either rental or maintenance or even resale, or
Right.
it could be Raghava Reddy lives in Hyderabad and has a property in Pune or Bangalore, right? So
Right.
essentially, a person who's not living in that home, it's becoming the prop tech and fintech is essentially that's what our theme. It's becoming it's not an easy problem to solve, right? It's not an easy problem to solve, and people
Right.
used to depend on friends, relatives, but
Yeah.
those obligations are no more. Distances are far, obligations are there. So we decided this is a great opportunity, this is a great problem to solve, and an interesting problem. So it's not just
Right.
property management. So we have gone and taken to an extent of like a problem solver, not just a property management. So this
Right.
journey has been phenomenal, and currently we are managing about 350 odd properties, about $50 million of assets spread across Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Kolkata. And we are
Right.
expanding geographically as well as from a global customer base. So, does that
Right.
give you a good
Right.
introduction?
Super. Yes, yes, definitely, Vinod. I think that's more than I can chew with right now, I would say. And you guys seem to be doing a very intriguing job in the real estate space itself. And also, just to add to what you were saying, the Flipkart, InMobi, and Paytm mafias are coming here in India, right? Where the people from the core team are actually going out and building their own ventures, right? And I do resonate with the vibe of the whole startup wave flowing from the west to the eastern part of the world, and India being the epicenter of it, right? So very interesting, Vinod. So just to deep dive into your recent venture, what is it called? And you did give us a snippet about the number of properties that you guys are managing and the total number of assets that you manage in terms of value. But what is your venture called, Vinod? Yeah.
So the venture is called Properties. It's spelled Propadis. And
Okay.
essentially, the
Okay.
name was formed, particularly in the Western world, when you
Right.
say properties, and when you say it many times or very often or faster, properties, 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 it sounded like properties. So that's how the name came about.
Right.
Actually, it doesn't
Right.
have any other meaning besides that.
Right.
Uh, and and uh, and we were able to get that domain. And what
Right.
I felt
Super.
was essentially, somebody had made a good line. It says the
Mhm.
actually the opening batsman has to really bat longer, right? no matter what formats we are on,
Right,
whether it's a
right,
T20, whether it's a Test cricket,
right. We
and
need the
I think
Sehwag. Yeah,
that's resonated well with us.
right.
Is we are into this, and no matter what happens, we
Mhm.
definitely intend to bank longer.
Right. Super, Vinod. I am myself in the real estate space. I presently work with my family office, and a larger chunk of our portfolio is into real estate, right? So I would like to understand from a personal notion, right? When you talk
Mhm.
about property management services, it's still more of a taboo in the Indian ecosystem, right? And when it comes to managing properties from a single owner's perspective, say for example, I just have one property. Why does it make sense for me to actually approach a property management service? Because if I have a portfolio of properties spread across India, then it makes sense for me to actually approach a venture like that, right? So can you give me some quick a quick bite on that as well? If I'm a single property owner, how would you guys actually help me?
Yeah. So I think typically what we have seen is as an NRI typically has about 2.6 properties in India,
Okay.
while a local or I would say a resident Indian has about average 1.6 properties in India right now, right?
Hmm.
And why does it help you? I think your time is more valuable. Uh, Suppose I don't know where you live, Siddharth, but if I
Chennai,
own a huh?
sure. Chennai,
Chennai,
yes.
for example, in Chennai, right? So I do not know about Chennai, but think about Bangalore, right? If I live in the North Bangalore and happen to have a property in the South Bangalore, every visit is typically about
Right.
3 hours. And do you have really time to
True.
go from one end to the other end of the town?
True.
Maybe just to, I don't know, just to get some repairs done or to work
Right.
with the maintenance team because they really just do not responding to your phone calls and things like that. So there is a
Right.
value proposition which gets created. I think the value is essentially the time, right? So I think your
100%.
time is more valuable whether you hold one property, whether you hold multiple properties, and and
Right.
and I think we make it very friction less type of a proposition, and we
Right.
look for opportunities to see how do we create value for Siddharth who owns one property or who owns multiple properties,
Hmm.
and actually we rely on our customers a lot, right, to grow together, and as the
Right.
customer behavior is changing. So whether it's one
True.
property, two properties, four, yes, there will be people with one property, there'll be people with four properties. So average really it comes down to is, it might be three or four properties. That's what we are seeing and being a B2C proposition. So there
Right.
is certainly a value uh, actually in monetization, whether it's rental
Hmm.
or resale, right?
Right.
And I think that's the core heart and soul of the proposition we put together.
Superb. Superb. It's very interesting. I would say why, because they say time is money, right? And that is the real value proposition that your venture intends to provide, I would say, right? So whether
Yes.
it's a single property owner or someone with a portfolio of properties, I think definitely they should get in touch with you, right? Because at the end of the day, they're going to save some time, and which is equivalent to money, I would say, right?
And plus able to monetize, right?
Right.
Maybe faster, quicker, in a better manner. You
True.
may not
True.
have time to do that. Secondly, you may not have time to handle phone calls, talk to multiple people, show the property. If every time,
Right.
suppose you have to go to Mahabalipuram from wherever you are, just imagine that,
Yeah,
right?
that's
You
quite
don't have,
far, man.
you
Yeah.
don't have. So essentially, the way the business works is
Right.
you put certain zones, and you have a team, managing certain zones, so you avoid
Right.
some of these issues, and essentially create a value proposition around that, enabled
Superb.
by technology, right? So
Right.
it's definitely an unorganized market, so we are trying to
Right.
organize it
Superb.
along with technology platform which gives an experience, or which gives a certain type of serviceability which may
Hmm.
not be available with a local real estate agent, as well as the
Perfect.
engagement. For example,
Right.
we do an inspection visit, immediately the pictures are uploaded and goes through the technology platform, so you're
Wow.
able to actually see your own asset, whether
Right.
it's a 360-degree view in a video, or different formats, right? Things like that.
Amazing.
Suddenly, if you are trying to monetize in the form of rental, if,
Hmm.
for example, Rahul Srivastav is visiting your property, we send a quick snapshot through our technology platform with a phone number and saying, okay, this is
Right.
the feedback we got from this Rahul Srivastava, who saw your property, apartment number 3, apartment at Mantri Elegance, right? Things
Right.
like that. And plus we give them a consolidated view of the services through the technology platform. We give them
Right.
essentially, how their rentals are coming. We also give them what is happening in the neighborhood. You would like to
Wow.
know, right, what's happening in the neighborhood from a rental
Right.
perspective, or the pricing of the market. Where is you have an asset which might be worth 1 crore, and you need to know, how is it performing against the peers, or
True.
against some of the
True.
other properties of the relevant size, scale, and things like that. So
Right.
we add a value proposition offering along with a service mantra or service excellence around that.
Superb. Superb, Vinod. I think, I go by this line which goes like, data is the new oil, right? And when you guys can provide data to a homeowner, I think the way they can monetize on it and sort of seek capital gains in the terms of the future would be like, immense value being added, right, to the homeowner itself. Also, Vinod, I would like to understand for any homeowners that might be watching this interview, what is the journey of onboarding a homeowner in that case? So if I'm a homeowner, how do I get in touch with you guys, and what is my journey like?
Sure. So there are two questions there. One is, how do you
Sure.
get in touch with us? And secondly, what is the journey, right?
Sure.
Getting in touch with is very easy. Right now, we operate on all digital channels, Facebook, LinkedIn,
Mhm.
things like that. You can call us, or you can send us an email, sales@properties.com, or vinod@properties.com.
Right.
So our www.properties.com. So there are multiple ways to get in touch with that, right?
Right.
uh, and I think the journey, so the second question, Siddharth, is how does the journey, right? And I think
Right.
journey is, so I was also as part of a boutique consulting, IT consulting firm. So we bought some of the best practices from an IT perspective, or an
Wow.
IT services perspective. So
Right.
what we do is, before you even sign up, or before we engage, or before in fact, I don't say it engage, before we get married to each other, we want to dance together, right?
Wow.
And so what we
That's a
do
great
is,
way to put it. Yeah.
exactly right. So what we do is, we give you some data, we give you some insights. We say, okay, Mr. Siddharth, give me some basic information about your property. It's a 3 BHK, 2,000 square feet,
Mhm.
in Purva, Venezia, in Bangalore location. My expected rental
Right.
is 30,000. There are some repairs and this and that. We give an on ground insights. We run some on ground insights. We run some online insights, and provide that as a free service to start with. I says, okay, sir,
Right.
Siddharth, take a look at this, right? This is what we are
Right.
seeing in the market, and this is what you can expect. So essentially, it's managing expectations, setting some expectations, as well as giving them, which I don't think anybody else in the country would be doing that right now. I
Right.
can pretty much vouch for that. And say, okay, once you are completely satisfied, come and talk to us, or come on board. We run through that insights,
Right.
and saying that this is what is going to take for us to monetize your property. And beyond that
Right.
is, we also define certain benefits. These are not services, these are certain benefits, right? Make your
Right.
property monetizable, make your property livable by doing the right actual repairs, get the
Right.
great leads, manage negotiations on your behalf, get your rental agreements, get your documents in place. And
Right.
after a tenant comes in, it's very important for you to understand that we will continue to nurture that relationship,
Right. Wow.
because if the same tenant continues for next 2 years or 3 years, your cost also becomes lower, right? Now you don't need to
Of
go and
course.
look for another tenant again. And
And I
so
don't need to waste time again looking for one. Yeah.
exactly right, and waste money also, right? Because they have to pay us money. So I think that what we are trying to say is the lifetime value of not just the property, the lifetime value of the relationship which we have built together, and we
Right.
continue to nurture, manage that relationship. So it's, I think it's the experience, it's the ambience we want to create in this journey, right? I
Right.
think that's what we are trying to that's what we are trying to do that. And essentially that's the mantra which we bring in, that is the purpose we bring
Right.
in our employees, in our teams, in our customers. And we are very, very transparent to say no. See, yes, we are
Okay.
not the yes man always, right? We are say, okay, there are
Right.
some things which is not advisable to a client. We'll be very open and forthright to tell them, sir, this is not the approach. This is may not work for it, and this may not be the
Right.
right thing for you to do over a long period of time. So make this journey memorable. I think
Right.
that's what
I think
our mantra
uh,
is.
very, very exciting because you're talking about building relationships, right? And from a landowner's perspective, again, when you talk about building a relationship with an existing or a prospect tenant, I think that just becomes very, very important again, right? And the way you guys deliver it is probably in a seamless way, and and the seamless experience which you guys provide, I think that is something that definitely more landowners should look forward to, right? And as you briefly mentioned about the team and the sort of mantra that you want to put across the team and the vision and the mission of the team itself, right? So how big is your team, Vinod, and where you guys based out of, which is your headquarter right now, and things like that. Can you can
Sure.
you give the audience some
Sure.
quick
So we have a
insights
couple
on
of
that?
offices, one in the US.
Okay.
US, North America is one of the biggest, I would say, people who have an emotional attachment to
Definitely.
India. They have properties in India.
Right.
There are about what we have heard is there are about 4 million NRI properties in India.
My God, that's
So
quite a number.
that's quite a number. And North America is one of the largest market share. Almost 30-40% of the market share comes from the North
Right.
America part. The next one is the
Right.
Middle East. Those are the two biggest
Right.
ones. So we have an office in North America. We also we have offices in Bangalore, Hyderabad,
Mhm.
Kolkata, and Chennai now. And our team currently is about 14-member team, 1-4.
Okay.
And what I think I tell each and every team members is three things. I tell them to be fearless. I tell them to be
Right.
flexible. I tell
Right.
them to be forever ready.
Right.
So those are the three things which I tell our team. And
Mhm.
I tell them, you really want to wake up with a purpose. Why do we exist? Why do we exist? And how do we make sure that we make this journey memorable for us,
Right.
for our clients, and it's not seamless. It's not always seamless. It cannot be always seamless. I would be lying if I say everything is seamless, right?
Right. Right.
There are challenges. There are hard conversations, but
Right.
and I think the important part is because we do it with the right conscience.
Right.
We are fearless, so we do not mind being. We have the courage to tell the truth,
Right.
and that's a very, very important thing. And in my mind, that creates two things, and which are very important from an um, emotional aspect of relationship. One is it creates trust, and secondly it creates empathy. uh,
Right.
it's,
Empathy is a skill to have these days, I always say, right? Yeah. Being
so
empathetic is a skill. Yeah, true.
correct. So uh, I think uh, what we also bring up is, one is purpose to our team members. We
Right.
also bring in that there are actually no failures or mistakes. It's okay to fail.
Mhm.
These are actually learning opportunities. And it's a young
Right.
team, so they understand that, and they embrace
Right.
some of these things, right? And
Right.
that's quite gratifying uh, to me as an entrepreneur, that we are all trying to do the right things ultimately.
Right. Right.
We do not succeed all the time. Absolutely, we do not
I
succeed all the time. But
right.
I think we are making it a lot more predictable. Essentially, we are
Right.
making the journey a lot more predictable.
Right. Great. I mean, just to put everything into perspective of what you said, right? In terms of building a culture, I believe what you're just saying is, when your aligns with your dharma, right? That is when something really, really good can be built, right? And value can be added to the whole ecosystem itself from an individual's perspective also, right? Having said that, Vinod, I would like to understand, as you told, your team is growing, you're based out in so many time zones. How do you maintain a work-life balance? I'm sure it must be hard. How do you do it?
Great question. I start at 5 a.m. in the morning,
Oh my God.
5
Okay.
a.m. IST in the morning. And I'll tell you
Wow.
the reason behind that. And this is something which because uh, I manage a lot of
Uh-huh.
clients from North America, right? Which is about
Right.
6:30 p.m. So I would find one of my clients will be driving from home or driving from work to home, right? Example would
Uh-huh.
be Neil Kamal, or example would be
Okay.
Rohit Sheth, right? He would be driving back, and he's really actually pouring it out. He's really actually pouring his problem out to me because it's an evening time for him. He's heading back from work to home, and he's in
Right.
the car potentially on the West Coast or in the East Coast in the US. So I handle a lot of those,
Right.
and that's a great time. I start my day, right? And then I also deal with people in the Far East, like Singapore, Australia, and things like that. And
Superb.
they also there are certain time zones which works very well for them, very well for me. So I
Right.
manage my time accordingly. Are you able to hear me, Siddharth?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Clearly. Yes.
Okay. So work-life balance, in fact, I also do take out time for
Uh-huh.
family. I do take out for certain other things I enjoy. I enjoy certain sports, so I do certainly take out some time to make sure that I'm not switching myself off, but I certainly
Right.
do that. I take some time off because I think that brings additional level of rigor, additional level of sanity,
Right.
additional level of intensity, competition, all of that,
Right.
right? And I think that personal life actually gets sort of I guess imbibed into the professional life also, at some point
Right.
of time. So
It
that
just makes you a
that
better
actually
person, I
helps.
would say.
That
Yeah.
actually helps, in fact. Yes. Yes.
Right. Right. Perfect. Perfect, Vinod. The work-life balance thing is, sort of very exciting again and very, very difficult to actually maintain a balance, right? And the balance is actually the right word to strike. And as a founder, if someone is able to strike that, I would say there's a long, long positive road ahead, right? Having said that, I would want to understand, as you've traveled around the world and you have clients all across the world, right? What do you think about the Indian startup ecosystem right now? Do you think it's been evolving when you compare it to the past, or do you think we are still at the very nascent stage? Though we have some unicorns, I would say, but what's your notion about the ecosystem itself?
I think, as an example, I think I'm speaking with you guys, right? Indian startup ecosystem,
Right.
and I think it's not only surviving. I think it's thriving,
Wow. Superb.
right? And I think you guys are definitely, a lot of you guys are a lot of catalysts, right? Which
Right.
really take it to the next level. Uh, and we need those. We need those. I don't think we would be here without the support system what you folks have created or what the ecosystem has created, right? Uh,
Right.
I'll just give you an example of Bangalore. On a
Mhm.
given day, you can pick up on the internet, you'll be able to find multiple funding sessions going on. You'll be able to find
Right.
multiple business growth sessions going on. You'll be able to
Right.
find multiple legal sessions going on. So essentially, uh, when some of my friends come from smaller
Mhm.
towns in the US and they come to Bangalore, and they, wow, this is what a ecosystem, I mean, I almost
Yeah.
call it like the Silicon Alley of India, right? I mean, everybody says
Right.
that, right? This is the Silicon
Oh,
Alley of India, actually. And guess what? Some of the some of the darling startups, take
uh-huh.
Flipkart, take InMobi, take Ola, take
Uh-huh.
I don't know where Byju's. All these are born in a small town in Bangalore, in Koramangala. I mean, all of them have
Right.
happen to have an head office, or that's where they started. So this
Right.
ecosystem is definitely thriving, with some of the interesting exits which Flipkart executives had, and some of the other ones coming up. They are
True.
reinvesting into the startup ecosystem. They are
Exactly.
mentoring people. They're putting money on. They are also building certain other smaller startups and things like that. So I think
Right.
it definitely has greater skills ahead. Greater opportunities, greater growth ahead.
Right.
And definitely some of you folks like at Indian Startup System, that helps being a catalyst a lot.
Sure. I think it's again all about being able to add value, right? And I always say collaboration is imperative, right? And if we guys can collaborate in any such way, I think it's just going to work towards the ecosystem as a whole, right? Having said that, you were also talking about, Flipkart and all these big sort of unicorns right now putting their own money, and the mafias putting their money into the ecosystem itself, right? I wanted to understand your notion about the funding part of the ecosystem. I'm sure there must be a lot of founders who must be, sort of really confused about whether they should raise money or they should bootstrap their companies, because we have examples like Zerodha versus we have examples like Byju's, right? So there's a contrast in terms of the funding scenario, if you see. So what's your notion about that, Vinod? Also, have you raised funds for your venture, and how does it work for you?
Sure. Yes, we have raised ventures. We have raised money for our venture through friends and angels to
Okay.
start with. That is our first level of funding right now. But
Mhm.
essentially, we were bootstrapped. And personally, you could have different perspectives. Personally, in this business, what we felt was uh, uh, business will bring funding, not vice versa. Okay, so funding may not bring
Okay. Yeah.
business, right?
Right.
So we decided to take that
Wow.
route. And actually, our goal was, let's take the first 100 customers. That
Okay.
was our metric, right? Or let's
Right.
solve problem for 200 properties, 100
Right.
customers, 200 property. That was the metric we wanted to really focus on. and
Mhm.
and and we have gone beyond that in the last couple of years. So we just reached that big milestone. So now we have
Right.
understood really the fundamental framework, how it works. It's a B2C business. Now we have
Right.
also realized there is a challenge in this, the scale, right? As a startup, you have to scale. So now we are trying to
Right.
figure it out. It's a B2C business. How do we make it a B2B2C? There is a big B in the middle. So we are
Right.
definitely there definitely we are toying up with certain ideas because that
Right.
could bring in a larger scale, right? So we are at
Right.
that inflection point as an entrepreneur, as a team, that hey, we need to figure some pivot out, right? And that's
Right.
exactly we are at that point. Is And then that line is really actually for us. It's funding will big sorry the business will bring funding automatically, so, and that's the approach, that's the
Right.
route we have taken.
Right, right. I think the vibe with which you go, right, where business would bring you funding, getting some early traction, and actually connecting with those initial customers and trying to understand their problem and solving it for them would definitely get you funding, which might be the next step towards growing your venture itself. Now, as I'm talking about growing the venture, we would want to understand what does the next 3 to 4 years look like for you guys? How do you plan to expand? What are your expansionary plans in that case? And your growth model rather. Yeah.
Absolutely, great question again. I think I talked about a growth metric, right? In this
Right.
particular business, I think the growth metric is number of properties essentially.
Right.
And number of properties is essentially, if we get from right now say 350 odd properties, if we can get it to about 5,000 properties in the next 3 years or so,
Mhm.
that's a great metric. That means we will become really actually relevant in the marketplace. We
Right.
get noticed. We'll get a seat on the poker table, right? uh,
Yeah.
it's like that. And essentially what that also uh, uh, tells the people on the other side is that we have courage and we have determination, and actually we
Right.
have solved problem at a grassroots level. So we have really grown bottom up, right? And we have
Right.
we have completely understood this, and we have really built from scratch, and which is a great testimonial for
Yeah.
the grit and the determination of the team, essentially, which
Right.
makes things happen, essentially.
Right.
So that's what
I
our plan is, to summarize that we want to be known in the circle in the next 3 to 5 years to come.
Right. I think what you're talking about is gaining market share, right? And once you do that from the bottom up level, I would say that just brings a certain ethos, right, to the whole team and to the people who might be watching you guys grow, right? And also previously, as you had mentioned about, the startup from the startup's point of view, being able to iterate, right? I think that is what that defines a startup in the first place, having the room to actually iterate and still growing at an accelerated level. That is the key difference between a traditional company versus doing a startup, right? And I think the audience who are watching this interview should definitely look forward to that from a startup's point of view, right? Also, I've been connecting with a lot of founders these days, right? And I always ask them this question: what is the one problem that you face right away as a founder, right? And the average answer that I've got is hiring, right? Hiring is an issue, right? Hiring is the major hassle or trouble that they face, Vinod. How have you handled this? How have you hired the people who work for you, and what is that key attribute that you look in a potential employee?
Yeah. And the one attribute I think I look for it, or personally our team looks for, is the attitude, right? I
Super.
think the skill, the aptitude, those are all great. Those are all can be learned, relearned, unlearned, and things like that, right?
Right.
It's the attitude that, hey, I am here to solve a problem. We are actually in a problem solving business, right? And we
Correct.
are here to solve a problem. I am ready to pick up the phone, talk through a problem,
Mm-hmm.
understand a customer's interest and needs,
Mm-hmm.
ask questions. Don't be a yes man. Be
Right.
courage. Be have a courage to say no to certain things. So those are some of the basic training mechanisms we bring in. And
Mm-hmm.
we that's one thing, right? And secondly, we also give them a lot of space to grow. We also give them we also let them make decisions. I think that's very, very important. It's okay to fail. I clearly say that it's a
Right.
learning opportunity. It's okay to fail. Make decisions, because as we grow, alone founders cannot do everything, right? So you
Right.
have to allow people to grow in their roles, allow people to embrace change, allow it becomes an inclusive experience. You need to bring that inclusive experience, and
Right.
and give them responsibility, but give and accountability, and give them that freedom. And
Mm.
that's those are a couple of things which we have seen. Maybe it's worked for us so far because it's you're a
Right.
smaller team. Obviously, we'll have our own challenges when the team becomes bigger, when you have a bigger shoes to fill, and
Right.
and all the other things which comes with human human mind, which comes with larger teams and things like that. So, but
Mhm.
it's nothing new to me, because we have also, in my previous venture, we had scaled up the company from zero to a couple hundred people.
Wow.
So we had also realized it, what are the challenges which you could come across. But in
Right.
this particular case, we are starting with some of the interesting aspects of human engagement, as we talked about.
Right. Right. I think what you're talking about actually leads to the human or emotion connect, right? And that itself builds a relationship between the employer, the vision of the company, right, and the employee itself, right? And when everything aligns, then it's unstoppable, right? Also, you were mentioning something about your previous venture. So you've been a serial entrepreneur yourself, right? So I hope we had a time machine, but we don't, right? So looking back in hindsight, for this particular venture, what is that one advice you would give to yourself on day one, which you realized today that, okay, if I start back again, this is that one advice that I'll give to myself?
Yeah. I think one advice is, as founders, as entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
the I would say the leadership team or the founders team, one thing which I would all they all have to be aligned. If there are two founders or if there are three founders, uh, uh, Siddharth, are you able to
Right.
hear me? Yeah, there are two founders or
Yeah.
three founders.
Yes, I can hear you, Vinod. Yeah.
Yeah, those have to be aligned uh, to have a purpose, as to why we are doing this. It's not the what and the how, as to why we are doing
Right.
this. And I think that is probably the most important and the uh, key chemistry which has to be aligned among the founders.
Right.
And because I think, as somebody said, right, you have arrived if somebody's telling your story, right? So
Right.
you want to get to that point, and how do you get to that point is essentially that the leadership is in unison. The leadership is in unison with a common purpose, or with a common
Goal, I
we
would say. Yeah.
yeah, with a common goal. Yeah. Yes.
Perfect, perfect, Vinod. So very exciting again, and I would want to understand, Vinod, on a lighter note, right? Before we end this sort of interesting conversation, I hope we could take it longer, but then, just to keep everything in the interest of time, and as this video is supposed to go on YouTube according to the time slot, that one particular advice that you would want to give entrepreneurs of today. I'm sure you meet a lot of entrepreneurs on a daily basis. You connect with a lot of them, whether it's through the social media websites or it's on a personal level. What is that one advice that you would give to upcoming entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah. So there's no free lunch. Uh, and I think
Right.
to add to that is, I think what I say is the egg has to be baked to get the chick. And
Right.
so stay on, stay on, and focus on the vision. Focus on the vision. Focus on the purpose. Uh, I think
Right.
that is, and you will certainly find a lot of strength and courage when you have that kind of a mindset. I think that's what will be one line which I will tell anybody who's trying to be an entrepreneur or trying to get into this mode of actually
Right.
doing things.
Right. Right. I think what you're saying actually makes sense, right? Because a founder's journey is generally a loner's journey, is what I believe. I'm not a founder myself, but as I'm connecting with a lot of them, I can understand that. And it is something that should pull you for at least 7 to 10 years down the lane, right? It is a lot of you giving in, right? Giving yourself and actually, sort of building something. So definitely when everything what you just said aligns together, that is when something would push you as a founder, right? So just to wrap everything up, it was a wonderful conversation, Vinod. Thank you so much for being on this platform and connecting with us post 8 p.m. on a Friday evening. I'm sure you must have a lot of other things to do as well, but really, really appreciate your time. Also, I'm definitely a potential customer as I'm investing heavily on the real estate space myself. So definitely, I would love to connect offline and see sort of what synergies can be formed, right?
Yes, absolutely. I think uh, you yourself has realized uh, uh, we are in a prop tech, fintech type of a market where we are
Correct.
trying to transform or organize some of this unorganized businesses of real estate
Right.
and fintech, right? And I think actually real estate is real. It's not a vapor. I think I
Right.
firmly believe in that, right? And that's why we have picked up
Right.
this difficult or a complex a domain to actually
Mhm.
solve some problems and see how we can create
Right.
value for people whoever we come across with.
Right. And I think you guys are using tech to do that, and that'll just make the journey seamless again and accelerate your journey as well, right? So perfect, Vinod. Having said that, great connecting with you again. Please have a nice evening and really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, and great luck to Indian startup community. I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job in bringing people like us together onto the platform, sharing our whatever 2 cents or 3 cents, what we have
Right.
learned. It's the experience what we can bring in, as well as I think
Right.
certain things which not to do, right? So your journey becomes
Yeah.
maybe faster, quicker. You can go to the market faster, things like that. So
Right.
thank you for the opportunity
Right.
again, Siddharth, and Indian Startups Club.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinod. Have a nice evening.
Bye bye.
Bye.